Okay, this video is to show what I did to sell a car in North Carolina, private property, not going through a dealer. This is not how you should do it per se, because I don't know, I'm not affiliated with the DMV or any dealer or anything like that. I'm just a regular Joe Schmo who decided to do it myself and save 1,000 or two versus going through Carvana or any other dealer or anything like that. So this is basically the checklist. So pre-sale, post-sale. Okay. So this is, for my case, I did not have any lien or loans. The car was paid off. So assuming that's paid off, these are some of the steps. If you do have a loan or lien, then you might have to go through some other hoops. I think there might have been another DMV form that you have to provide the buyer so that you can make them aware that there is still a loan on the car. So granted that you found someone who is trustworthy and you want to sell the car to, hopefully you can give them some maintenance records. I found that carfax, which runs maybe 50 to 80 bucks, will show all of the records. If you went to like a Jiffy Lube or the dealer, that will show what kind of maintenance has been done. So that's always good to get to the buyer. You will need an NC safety inspection report less than 12 months. If it's within the past year, you don't need to get one again. A bill of sale is optional, but it's recommended just to have some assurance that the transaction took place, and hopefully also get it notarized. I'll put these in the description with links of ones that I used. I don't think this is just some generic one that I found off the internet, but it's something that I think was still suitable for my needs. You'll need to download the MVR 180 odometer disclosure statement that specifies, okay, this is the amount of miles that are on the car at the time of the transaction, damage disclosure, and then the actual title. If you have a pink slip, I'm not sure if that's what they call in North Carolina, but in other states called pink slip, or the title, you'll need to fill that out. And then I'll just go over some of the actual forms. So if you click on these links, this is the bill of sale that pops up. Just pretty standard: date, buyer's info, seller's info, car description, sale price, how you want to sell it. We did a cashier's check, and we did the transaction at a bank. This section shows if there's any loans or liens, vehicle condition, odometer, etc. I put this in. The buyer takes the vehicle as is without any warranties expressed or implied. Just to reiterate that the vehicle is as is. Signatures, buyer, seller, and witnesses I think are optional. We did 2 anyways, but I would have imagined 1 or 2, 1 at least, probably, if at all, and then just a notary to notarize this. That's a bill of sale that we use. Again, it's not from the DMV, but I guess that's just the wording they use in this generic bill of sale form. The MVR 180, which you can get from the North Carolina DMV, just says that this is the odometer mileage, and you just fill out all this stuff here. Just to legally say that this is the amount of miles at the time of the transaction. MVR 181 is damage disclosure. It talks about if it's a salvage or flood or theft, rebuilt. You can write, check off yes or no, all that stuff. You don't need a notary for the odometer or the damage disclosure. The back of the title looks like this. So when you're transferring the title or selling it to somebody or assigning it to a different owner, put the name of the buyer, address of the buyer, odometer, blah, 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 just fill all these check marks. You have to sign this in front of the notary. The seller's signature is here, buyer's signature is here, the date, and the notary has to sign it. But don't sign it until you're actually in front of the notary. Okay, so don't sign this ahead of time. right? So Section A is basically for the transaction, and Section B is for the buyer when they go to the license plate agency, the DMV license plate agency, and they need to fill this out. At the time of the transaction, since we were already at we did it at a bank, so my bank had notary services, so we just did it at that time where the buyer filled out all this stuff and got it notarized there. Title and license plate class, I think it was private/passenger vehicle, if I recall. You'll need to double check that. And this is all just standard stuff that you need to look through. The MVR1 is a title application. If you have this, it's basically the Section B, as far as I understand it, and as far as I've observed. This is just Section B of that title, the back of the title, but it still doesn't hurt to get it signed anyways. I think it's just a repeat of the back of the title. But like I said, if they had the DMV had this form, maybe they would have they only had it just in case you didn't have this Section B of that the back of the title. But my buyer just got it done anyways. Okay, so these are the most important forms. As far as I know, again, I'm not a professional. It's just what the steps, the forms I went through. So once you fill out the transaction, or go through the transaction, exchange the cashier's check or whatnot, then after you sign everything over, get it notarized, then the seller has to remove the license plate. In North Carolina, you actually have to remove it and turn it in. The buyer will fill out the MVR1, okay, or the back of the title, or both. And then post sale, the seller got to return it to the DMV license agency within 30 days. And I just did that. You just drop it off. You don't really need to show them anything. Even like a bill of sale, you just drop it off, and then they'll just hand you a receipt saying that you turned it in. The buyer, before they register the new vehicle, the buyer needs to have driver's license and at least the liability insurance to register a car. So you can't get a car registered unless you get those two things done already. After you do that, then you can go to the DMV license agency. I think there's a couple DMV agencies in North Carolina. You need to go to the license plate one, okay, and then get the car registered. And then at that time, you can get a temporary license plate. I think it's like at 3 or 10 days. I think it might be 10 days until they actually send you the real license plate through in the mail. The question is, what happens between the time of the sale and getting the vehicle license plate? Good luck. It's kind of a gray area. I couldn't find any information about getting like a temporary license plate before the transaction. I think it's common sense would say, okay, just get to the DMV as soon as possible. Perhaps if in the unlucky event that you do get pulled over by a cop, then perhaps you can tell them, hey, I just bought this car. I have a bill of sale. I have the title transfer documents in my possession. Here they are. I will go to the DMV as soon as they open. I don't know, whenever, the next day. Maybe the cop will let you off. Anyways, I hope this helps. The documentation and the steps were not clear from the internet. This is what I just kind of cobbled through my experiences and my research, spending several hours just trying to make sure that everything would go smoothly during the transaction of a private party sale. If you ask some questions in the comment thread, I may not be able to answer, but maybe someone else can. Hope this helps. Thanks. Bye.